Okay, streams live. Welcome everyone to the Toku Portal podcast. It's me Zero here with,
Da kid.
and that's all. I guess everybody else was busy. Yeah, sorry for the late, late start, but hey, I guess at least we put something out. Anyway, um, yeah, this episode, like, it was mostly set up, I'd say. Um, I guess I'll give a quick rundown what the episode was, then we can talk about it. So it starts out with us finding out that Gates and oh fuck, I should have pulled up a list of names for the characters. Yeah. So like we found out like our three main characters are now going to the same high school because the ones from the future want to keep tabs on like our main writer. Um but I mean then they have weird high school hijinks until we run into like the plot of the episode, which is people finishing an impossible game, or I guess getting close or whatever, get hospitalized, and then you know, um, basically they get taken out by another X-Aid, um, and then like our main characters try to find some way to enter the game world or interact with them. So they try to find a genius gamer, and so they find like well they go to Emu's hospital, um, but Emu's not there. Hiro is. Hiro kind of helps them out, gives them a clue, and then Emu left a memo thingy or a note. Um, and then they use that to get into the world where Emu is. They're like Zi-O and Gates fight the monster. They're about to beat it, and then Emu comes in to stop them. So that's different. And episode ends, all spoilery and stuff. Yeah. General thoughts. I mean, for me, like I wasn't super looking forward to this episode. Like my like hype level was super down, but after watching it, it's like yeah, it was another okay episode. Like I guess ranking it, it's another another X8's monster suit's nowhere near as nice as like another build's monster suit. So that kind of sucks, but other than that, I think as the episode went on, it got better. Like the high school stuff was kind of funny, but it wasn't really that great. But like we can get more into that. What were your general thoughts on this episode, Decade?
Yeah, I kind of like the more subtle situational humor because the past two series we've had mostly meme humor, so that was kind of nice. Especially when like Loss shows up and uh, Sogo just completely ignores him. Like, I don't want to deal with you right now, you weirdo. That was fun, and just in general, them kind of they're pretty much doing detective work to find out what's going on with another rider, because each one's gonna have some different way of attacking people. And it was kind of nice that Gaze was like kind of the star of the episode. He figured out the German stuff and it's them, although not on purpose, start looking for a genius gamer. Henshin went off first. That was it was fight monster runs away fight. It looked like it was gonna do that, but literally right as Zi-O transforms, another X8. So nice change of pace.
Yeah, I was gonna. Okay, so my audio cut out a little there. Could you just repeat like the last bit a little? Um, yeah, I think it was like it cut out from when you were saying like Gates was helping them investigate, and he was pretty much like the main driving force. And then like my audio started messing up on this end.
Okay. Well, basically, yeah, he was doing a lot of the detective work, and his henshin went off first, which is interesting. And also, they didn't go fight, plot, fight like they do most of the time. They look like they're gonna do that, but literally, once Zi-O transformed, another X-Aid just left. So that was just kind of fun. And the fight was cool.
Yeah, this was an interesting episode. I was actually thinking, like, this episode kind of like sets some things. Well, maybe not in stone, but like it clarifies some things. Where it's like, I was thinking the whole reason we do like the, oh, we beat them, then we go back in time and we have to beat them again. I'm like, oh, the standard like two fights a rider episode, but like this episode doesn't do that. They kind of have like one fight. Oh, I mean, I guess like another XA just took off the first time, and then like Emu stepped in the second time. But yeah, I guess technically we still had two. Um, but yeah, it was an interesting episode. Like starting off, um, I guess yeah, like Gates and Tsukiyomi go to like Soga's like high school. What did you think of all that?
I thought it was kind of funny that Tsukiyomi still has her cape, and Gaze just straight up throws his like vest harness thing over his uniform. So that was like annoying and funny at the same time. And I love Tsukiyomi's like fake kindness. Like she smiles and then just goes straight into poker face. Because obviously this guy could turn out to be Omazio. So it's nice that they still. It's not just the secondary writer that doesn't like the main character, but it's also the heroine as well.
Yeah, that was interesting. I mean, like, to be fair, like the them pretending to be like high schoolers, I was like, oh god, do we have to go down into another school thing? Um, but I'm pretty sure they're probably gonna drop that soon. They just kind of probably okay. There's two possibilities. One, they're gonna drop it soon. Like even them, they're like, you have to be such a pain. Okay, we're down and we're back up. No, there we go. We're back up. Come on. It says we're streaming. Okay, I guess we're back up. Whatever. Um, yeah, let's I guess try to make this quick, I guess. Yeah, it's interesting that he kind of helps. I was more thinking it's just some guy he knows, which I'm like, oh, that's still. It's funny that he like walks around school and it's like before he has any powers, like, oh, I nominate you to be um like head of cybersecurity or whatever for like the royal court. I'm like, I love how people are like, what the fuck are you talking about, dude? Like, even though, like, yeah, he's got this whole king thing going, but like, you think, oh, that's just a weird like fantasy he has, and he tells no one. No, that's literally his character. Like, he walks around life telling that to people. And it's kind of weird, but I'm like, okay, that was funny. Um, yeah, it's cool that he's not like super nice guy or whatever. He's like, yeah, sure, man, I'll just fake you out. And lie for you. That was cool. And then again, he tells Gates like, you know, I don't care what the fuck happens. I'm just trying to help a friend of mine. So I guess he is his friend. And then like you see a flashback to Gates losing someone, about to punch out um Soga or yeah, Sogo. So that was interesting. It's also interesting that like I guess we get confirmation like yeah, that weirdo like build thing that happened last episode at the end is actually what happens when a writer gives Zi-O their power. It's like their timeline gets fucked up and they don't exist anymore. So it's kind of different than Decade, where it's like, oh, it's just straight up alternate history, so it doesn't matter. Here it's like, no, like he could help people, but like if he gets more power, it fucks up the timeline, which kind of explains why Emu might be ready to fight him, because like it took a while in Decade for like writers. I mean, I guess like everybody wanted to like punch out Decade anyway. Um, but it took a while for like people to have good reasons to take him out. Like the end probably had like the best reason. But here, like Gates has a pretty good reason. Tsukiyami is kind of on the fence. It seems like Emu at least knows what the fuck is going on, and he's like, yeah, I'm not gonna give you my power or whatever. I mean, it's weird that like he'd protect the monster, but maybe he's just like, you know, better to have him and take him out later than let like Zi-O do it. Like, what do you think's going on?
On one hand, it kind of sucks because, well, I'm sure basically what's happening as a and he took
Sorry, my
Bill's
audio just.
powers.
Wait. Uh, you're saying something like, yeah, the stream kind of like glitched out for a second too. So you're saying basically what was happening?
The show's never happened. So because he took Bill's power, he's straight up Katsuragi, and it happened to Emu, sister. So on one hand, it sucks, and it's kind of interesting, like where these characters would be if they're normal, and see more of that. I'm just be like a superhero Tyson, like sunset.
Give me a sec. Like it's cutting. Oh, fuck. I'm gonna have to turn one of these damn programs off. Give me. Okay, I shut off OBS. Hopefully it's more stable now. I mean, I shut off Audacity. OBS says it's not dropped any frames, but I don't fucking know. Yeah, like my system barely has any RAM. I guess that's probably what the fuck's going on right now. Yeah, continue. So you're saying like, yeah, they don't exist. Like the shows didn't happen. The problem is like, why the fuck
But
is Emu still like level 2?
uh,
Yeah.
I think he's probably gonna start glitching out, just like Bill did. It's because basically they defeated another Xaid, so then Xaid still exists temporarily, but once another Xaid comes back, or and erase. I'm assuming there's gonna be some sort of mid-season, or maybe the season finale where all the writers are gonna get their powers back, but we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, like it has enough room for that, because like this is a regular show, right? It's not a decade thing where it's gonna be like half a season. So, I mean, it's got room for. I mean, technically, his power up is like when he runs into Decade, right? Uh, and his powered up form, I think, is Decade. So I'm like, if there's one rider who's gonna kick your ass, it's probably Decade. So he probably becomes a good guy, or something happens. We'll see. Um, yeah, it's weird. I mean, like, on the one hand, it's interesting that we're getting like secondary riders, like Hero showed up. I'm like, oh, okay, so like all instead of like usually what we get is just the primaries. At least this time we're gonna get the secondaries as well. But then like Gates fucking henshins into Drive. I'm like, oh, okay, no, like that theory doesn't make sense at all now because like, why the fuck does Gates have Drive's driver? I mean, widget thingy, whatever, the stopwatch henshin device thing. Um, Yeah, because like if it was just like he got the powers of the secondaries, I'm like, okay, at least we're gonna get all the other secondaries. But now it's probably just gonna be, oh yeah, the few, actors we lined up, that's all you get, and then the rest it's just gonna primary, which kind of sucks because man, it's been really long time since we've seen some of the secondaries for some shows. So it would have been nice to get somebody from those shows, but it doesn't look like that's happening. I mean, like, we're gonna get the Fives guys, but like, we know we're gonna get the Fives guys. Like, we knew we were gonna get the build guys and the X8 guys, or like half of X8, but whatever. Um, and then like Fives, we're gonna get Decade's probably gonna show up probably. Uh, yeah, it's weird. Like Ghost and Drive aren't now, so they're out. That kind of sucks. I mean, Kuga and Kabuto probably aren't gonna show up, which is so weird. I don't know what the hell's going on. Deno maybe. Actually, you know what the stupidest thing is? Where the fuck are all the future riders? Cause like it's supposed to be 50 years in the future, right? When he takes over.
Something like that.
Yeah,
He
like
sounds like
where
an
are
old
all the
man.
kids? Like why are they not lining up to kick Zio's ass? Right? Like I think
Shinnosuke's kid.
yeah, I know, right? Like Shinosuke's kid, like Wataru's kid, Ghost's kid, like I mean, Takeru, I guess would be yeah. So like it's so stupid. Like Toei tends to forget that we have like future writers. Like where's future Neno? Like isn't this exactly what the fuck he's there for? Is to protect the timeline? Like it. Man, like until they address the Deno thing, this is gonna be so weird, right? Because it's like Deno has this whole thing of like they're time cops, right? And like, what the fuck are they doing? Um, hell, we're in a like shared multiverse. Like, where the fuck are the Time Rangers? Well, maybe they'll show up in the crossover or something. It's been a while since those guys have shown up. That'd be cool, I guess. Yeah. Anyway, that fight, like, it wasn't great. It's just like when like Zi-O put out like the build armor and the armor does the pose and like Zi-O just kicks it. I'm like, oh yeah, learning from the best. Decade. It just reminded me of like how much of an ass Decade was when he had like his weird rider powers. And he would like not even care what the riders thought. He would just like turn them around and activate the abilities. It just reminded me of that. I'm like, oh, that's not good. What did you think?
This is gonna hurt a bit.
Yeah.
A giant sword or a giant blaster. Yeah, it's kind of funny because he's being a good guy, but in the process he's becoming the Demon King, or so we think. So it's interesting setup.
Yeah. I mean, the one nice thing is like at least the suits are really good to look at. The main suits, not the monster suit. Like another X8 looks like shit, right? Like another build was really nice, and like the armors for like Zi-O and Gates are really nice. Or I guess Geo and Gates are really nice. Um, and then like their base forms are really nice, and then like another X8 shows up, and it's like, oh, it's fucking hideous. It's so bad. Um, you know what was really nice? Like I forgot how good the henshin for like build or not build X8 was. And then like Emu did it, I'm like, holy shit, I forgot how good this looked. Maybe it's just because it has better CGI budget or just more time and whatever, but man, that looks so cool. Seeing Emu Henshin one more time. It's weird that he didn't like go level 1 to 2, but I guess everybody's kind of just skipping to level 2 now, so it's fine. Um, yeah, like even throughout most of the show, he would just skip to level 2, so I guess it makes sense. Um, hmm. What did you think of like, oh, you know what the weirdest thing is? Like the fucking fangirl part when like Hira's walking and the two nurses and they're like fangirling so hard and they grab like Tsukiyomi and she's like, get the fuck off me, pretty much. Um, that was like probably the worst part in the whole episode. Um, yeah, what did you think? I mean, like, I guess, like, worst part of the episode, I guess, for you.
Yeah, I would agree. Because basically the whole time it was just like subtle situational humor, go into X8 meme humor, and Hiro shows up with like literally every single doctor in the hospital, and they're like all bowing to him and getting out of his way. So it was like charming but annoying at the same time. So
Yeah.
whatever.
I
We
mean,
probably won't be seeing much of that anymore.
that sucks. But maybe it's because maybe he's the director now, but then again, they went back to 2016. Did they time skip? Actually, no, they didn't use their time machine, so. What the hell? Yeah, they didn't even use the damn time machine. It just says 2016, right? Or maybe it just says 2016 Rider. Whatever. That was weird. Um, I mean, it's good to see Hero back and like Emu. They're they're pretty awesome. Um, oh yeah, I was like, was Poppy in this? No, Asuna's not even in this. Um, which is kind of sad, but like, X8 had like so many characters. That's the problem as you go older shows. Like you want to see the cast, but you're like at most you're gonna get two, and they're just gonna be the first and secondary. Um, what did you think of what was I gonna say? Oh, right, right. Um, Wars, I guess. Yeah, Wars in this episode. Okay, at first, like last episode when he skips forward in the intro, and he kind of spoils it. I was like, oh, that's cute. But like he did it today too. I'm like, oh, is that your gimmick now? That's kind of lame, actually. What did you think about that?
Yeah, that was. I don't know, because I mean, we already get spoilers in the freaking episode trailer, so calm down. But yeah, it kind of sucked that he was just comic relief for a little bit, but
I
I don't know, we'll
mean, when
see.
he, yeah, sorry. Uh, I
No, that
meant
was it.
when he shows up later on in the episode and he says like, yeah, the book says he's he gets taken to the hospital. I'm like, okay, that's cool. Because you're either helping him, like the book actually says that, or you're just like feeding him information. So that was actually a good use. The beginning I wasn't a fan of. Um, what did you think of what Uru or and Ora? I think that's the two other ones that show up this episode. Well, I mean, like, yeah, you had one from last episode and another one this episode show up, like the time jackers. What did you think of that? It's also interesting that when, like, last time the time jackers are like, yeah, we're hoping for another king, but you don't know who they're betting on. But in this episode, like, Aura shows up and then she's like, yeah, it's you're a dumbass. Why did you bet on build? Another build. I've got somebody better in mind. So I wonder if she went and she told Emu that, like, Zi-O's gonna show up and mess everything up. And then that's why Emu's fighting them. And the interesting thing is, like, their, like, replacement king is either, like, the main rider that they control, or I guess they make the monsters, so, like, their other versions, like the other riders. Man, that's such a shit name. But for monsters, but, like, yeah. Like, so I guess she's betting on another another X-Aid to win, which, like, that thing has no chance. I mean, I guess it would have won had they not, like, gone to Emu's hospital and gotten the message, but, like, fight-wise, like, that thing doesn't have a chance. What did you think of all that?
Jumping around, but yeah, I'm just curious as to like what their origins are, because are they even? Well, clearly they know that Almazio is an old man, because Aura's surprised that he's here, and Uru, or whatever his name is, has to explain that it's the younger version. But yeah, she's not as creepy as him, so have fun with that. Seeing that kid every episode creeping around would be a bit much. And I'm interested in seeing what the third time jacker is like.
I mean, considering that we know that, like, it's gonna be Build XA, and I think maybe Fies is gonna show up next. Like, I'm pretty sure somebody put, a good bet down of, one rider to beat them all. Like, Emu's pretty cool and all, and, like, I don't know. Sento is supposed to be the smartest. Like, he doesn't do that much smart shit in the show, to be honest. He does some stuff, but, like, yeah. He doesn't really live up to the whole title of, like, smartest writer. But, like, whoever bet on Fies, like, as much as, like, Fies doesn't do shit, and, like, I mean, like, Takami's been through so much shit at this point. Like, I could see, like, he literally, in what, that Rider 4 special, was leading, like, oh, you can say, like, yeah, Decade's great and all, because, like, he led the bad guys and won and did all this shit. I'm like, fucking Fies did all that and beat the Orphanok and, like, all this other shit. So at this point, like, if you had to put your money on anybody, like, power-wise, yeah, they're stronger riders. But, like, a rider who's been through so much shit and still keeps coming back, I guess, like, Fies is a pretty good bet. Right?
I mean, he made the ultimate sacrifice.
Like,
twice.
Yeah, I know, right? Like, at this point, like, how many times? Oh, God, it's great. Like, okay, technically twice, right? But then he showed up again. In this, okay, maybe they use the time machine. Except they probably won't, because the actors are older now, so it doesn't make any sense. It's gonna be interesting. Who cares? I'm just glad that they're back. Oh, man. And then they sang the intro.
Yep.
That was so cool. Holy shit, man. Like, to be fair, I really wished we had gotten, like, an Ultraman Mebius style thing where, like, the riders just show up and help the new guy, instead of this rider versus rider shit. But I'm like, at least they're back. That's cool. Um, okay, so if we're just gonna speculate on this another king thing, if you had to put money on like one rider to beat them all, like who would you bet on?
Kenzo.
Kenzaki, Blade.
He just shows up and a bunch of roaches, dark roaches, come out of nowhere.
Dude. But then Hajime would be dead.
Yes, he has to kill
But okay, yeah,
Dallas first.
that is a very interesting pick because it's like, oh no, you can never beat me, Blade. And you see, it's like, yeah, I'm not trying to, and he just like walks off. And it's like, where are you going? He just like takes out freaking Hajime. Like, okay, enjoy ruling the world now. It's all just dark roaches. Oh my god,
Yeah.
I didn't even think of that. That's such an interesting pick.
Monoliths popping up.
Holy shit, that's such a good pick. I was gonna think of like current power, but man, that like fucking I win because you didn't read the fine print. Um, I guess that's sort of the thing that happened in Go Riders also.
Yeah. Shouldn't have used undead powers.
Yeah, that was fucking awesome. Um, oh man, like I was gonna say something like power wise. Oh man, they're strong guys. Like as cool as Kuga is, like I don't think Kuga could win. Agito, same thing. As cool as the ultimate like keep evolving thing is, I don't think he could win. Like if we're just going by primary, because if we start including all like weirdo secondary shit, then it's just a like rundown of whose bullshit can beat like whose OP nonsense can beat more OP nonsense, right? And then it's just a battle of okay, does Chrono? Okay, here's the thing. Then it turns into like do the speed riders cancel out the time riders, cancel out the slow mo riders, shit, and I'm like, I'm not doing the secondary. So if we're just going by primary, like Ryuki is way too weak. He's got no chance. Fies, just because he's lived through so much, yeah. Blade, insane pick, but like, holy shit, like I didn't see that coming. He could do it. I mean, like he could show up again, working for the same writer. Hibiki, I don't even think Hibika's gonna show up on this show. Like for some reason, Kabuto probably won't, but like Kabuto has a pretty strong power set. And then it becomes like, okay, can you beat Kabuto? Because that's the like judge limit. Like technically Deno, because he has time powers, can fuck with him, but like Kabuto kind of has time nullifying powers. But like Deno can't fight as good. So like the thing is Deno could fight Zi-O, but like I don't think Deno could win in that fight because I think like Zi-O is just gonna be too OP. Kiva is strong, but like I don't think he would win. So it's like Kabuto and Decade. But then like Decade would beat Kabuto. I mean Kabuto is really good at fighting. It depends on like, if it's Decade from the end of his show or Decade, through the movies and everything. Because if we count the movies and everything, then like he could have leveled up his fighting skills enough to beat Kabuto. So at that point, it's like Decade is still winning. And then it goes like Double. Double's good, but like I don't think he'll win. O's is interesting because he has like a time nullifying thing, but like he also needs a partner to fully, utilize his thing. So like O's is really strong, but I don't think he wins. Because like if it's the thing of like, the dark roaches are happening, like one of the few riders who could fight that is like O's. It's like full green combo. He might stand a chance to turn back the tide, I guess. Yeah, but still, it's like Decade O's maybe. Forze no. Wizard maybe. because Wizard is pretty fucking. Okay, actually, I guess Wizard could beat O's, and then it's like Decade versus Wizard. Uh, I think Wizard wins that fight because like they're equally good at fighting. It's just like nothing, because then it comes down to like, well, what can Decade do? Like nothing Decade can do, Wizard couldn't get out of. You know, right? Like he could, like they could fight power to power, and Wizard pretty much has everything to match to Decade's power ability. And then it's like, okay, I can trap you in another world, but then like Wizard can just teleport out with his rings. You know, because he can show up in the same alternate world that Decade can. And then it's like, okay, right, if somehow Decade could take Wizard back in time, but then Wizard has a time ring, so that doesn't work either. And then like if it's just pure fight to fight, like I think Wizard might win because like I think Wizard's a better fighter. But Decade might be able to pull through. And then again, I have like this huge Wizard bias. So like I want to give him the win because I don't want Decade to be like the last man standing. So it's those two, and then it's like, okay, Ghost, no, because Takeru is not a good fighter. Gaim is a god, but the thing is like, well, can he deal with time travel? Like, there's no indication. Like, he has weirdo powers, but like, could Gaim beat them? Right, because the question is like, can Gaim beat like Perfect Zector, like not Paradise Lost, Godspeed Love? It's like main villain. What do you think?
No, I don't think so because it just seems like he's only god of his personal world, Helheim.
Yeah, see
So
that's
he can just like create and spread it, but and have fruit powers. But I don't know about time.
yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Like he's a weapons, he's like a weapons master, so he's like a god of war thing. But like, because then the problem, because like if you cannot beat the villain of Godspeed Love, like you cannot beat Zi-O, and you cannot beat, you know, like Kabuto and O's and Decade and Wizard. Like that is basically the thing. Like if you cannot beat the final boss of Godspeed Love, or the villain, the main guy, like you cannot be top. So Gaim's a weird case. Like flip a coin, right? Drive's interesting where it's like, okay, does their slowdown power work on speedsters? I guess. Does that make them move as fast, or does it mean clock up doesn't work on them? Okay. But then you're dealing with time shit, and it's like, I don't think they'll be able to match that, because you could just go back far enough that like, you know, Belt Sun like maybe dies, turns into a belt, but you know, Shinosuke doesn't get it. Right? And then you're fucked. I mean, I guess you can beat any rider like that, but like, yeah, I don't think they could be, like, they can't defeat the time shit. Right. And then it's like X8, like as OP is like X8 and Build R with like their ability to just basically rewrite whatever the fuck they want. I don't know. Like I think they'd probably get beaten by like, right, like I don't think Build could do it because like Build just got his ass kicked. Like Emu could, but then again, like they were having a hard enough time against Kronos. So like it could be close, but I think Emu might lose that fight. I mean, like he could win, he could lose. That's also a toss up. So it's like you got you got Decade and Wizard for sure. One of those two could be like take him out. maybe, and then you have three toss ups where it's like maybe O's, maybe Gaim, and maybe Emu. Um, I guess Build too, but I don't think so. Like Build is not as good of a fighter as the other guys. I'll be honest. Um, so yeah, I guess like best bet technically is Decade. My personal bet would be like Wizard. What do you think? Still Blade. Blade's still like such a good pick, man. Like I was not even considering that, but that was amazing.
Yeah,
Anyway,
Wizard always has some handy rings, so I'll definitely put him up there as well.
yeah. Um any anyone that I didn't put on the list, like you think I was wrong or
Mm,
that you think would have
no,
like a better chance than I thought?
no, time manipulation's pretty broken.
I mean, to be fair,
And
they can't just like jump through time or whatever. Like they can't just summon a deadliner.
yeah, yeah,
Um, they need a time machine, but yeah, time manipulation is still pretty broken. Especially if they get like any form. Well, I mean, I guess they already have a speed form with like drive, even though that's not how drive's powers work. But like, nobody's gonna waste time to put the damn slow mo into things. Um, yeah. So I guess like they're already kind of broken because they have time and speed. So it's like you have to be able to counter time and speed, you know. Oh, and like if somehow they toss you into another dimension or some shit, just in case. And like the only two riders who I can think, or I guess like yeah, the only three who can deal with that is like Wizard and Decade for sure, and then like fuck it, we've got no options left, but I have one trump card and that's Blade.
I
Um,
mean, and if you think about it, technically, he's an undead, and he can only be killed by other undead powers.
that's true. They can't
So,
even
yeah,
seal
he's pretty
him.
much invincible. Yeah.
That is amazing. Holy shit. Okay, yeah, so exactly. How the fuck did Omazeo even rule the earth with Kendaki still being around? That doesn't even make any sense.
Stole his powers.
Like, forget the future writers. Like, real. I guess he's gonna get a blade form, but that's lame. Unless the blade form corrupts him and then he becomes like Omazeo. That would be pretty hilarious. I guess like the future writers get written out of existence because like they change history, so none of the writers live out their normal lives like they would have in
Maybe
the
that's why
show.
he made a statue.
What?
Maybe that's why he made a statue with all the writers.
Maybe. Um, any predictions on what do you think the show, like which path it'll go down? Like, um, you know how Decade kind of had the whole thing of like, oh, everybody's fighting, and then like he becomes a good guy, sort of thing. I mean, I guess he always was, but like, what twist do you think? Like, I feel like at some point it's either Omazeo's gonna be a different person, or he's just gonna travel back from time. I mean, from the future, back in time, and then he's gonna be the villain. We have to defeat his future self to change the timeline. Um, or like Wars or whatever is like planning something and like he's the one who corrupts like Zi-O or whatever. That's
Yeah.
why he wants to preserve the timeline. Like, what do you think?
Uh, I mean, yeah, those are good theories. I just, in general, I'm glad that we're focusing a bit more on Zio and his personal story. It's not just wander around the worlds and help alternate writers. It's it's definitely, it feels like its own show, even though it's an anniversary show. So yeah, I'm interested to see where it's gonna go.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's more Forze than it is like Decade. Uh, or I guess you could say it's Kabuto too, but like Kabuto was pretty much like, oh, this is show. Oh, right, we have this anniversary thing too. So I guess it's a little more Forze where it's like, yeah, we know the other writers exist. They're sort of important, but like, it's doing its own thing also. Um, yeah, that's interesting. Like, I wish like okay, like they're not gonna do it for this show, but like for the next anniversary. Actually, I guess they probably won't even have a next anniversary because they'll probably do like a 5 years for the next writer set. You know, like whatever era is after Heisei. They'll probably just add the new 5 writers from the new one to that or whatever, which will be cool. I guess it's fine. Like we can't keep bringing the Heisei guys back over and over. I mean, it's cool if like the Showa era and the Heisei era guys show up, but like if they don't, it'll be okay. If only if, like in the new show, um, they do it where it's like he's just a dude. We're not doing this writer versus writer shit. There's no time travel, alternate history, change timeline bullshit, different world interpretation. Like we're not doing that crap. Actually, we don't even know if the next era is gonna be all connected like the second half of the Heisei era was, but like it probably will. The way like Toei is going. Um, but if they do, like, I hope it's like kind of like a throwback to like the old Showa way of doing it, or I mean like better version than the Showa way, but like it's more like, hey, here's a writer. He's fighting a monster or whatever that's like similar to a dude you fought, previous writer, who's appearing in like one episode, like somewhere in the middle ish or past the first like 15 episodes or something. Or I guess you could show up earlier, but thing is like the whole show doesn't revolve around the past, but it's like, hey, show up, teach the kid